Welcome to a meeting with. We are back. We are back. We are back. Yesterday was momentous, as it always is, because you are able to be up to see it. Well. We're back in our reading, and I'm hoping that you all have have decided you are going to go and get this book. You've got to get this. You've got to get this book. I am sold so much on this particular book because it has so many poignant points in it. It's sometimes we can get to that place that we think we know everything. Okay, and it's hey, if that's you, that's you. Okay, but I want to say this to you that no man is an island, no woman is an island. You don't know everything. You know everything about what you know, but unfortunately for us, that's not all there is. Okay, we're gonna go to our reading. I'm hoping that uh, you get a blessing out of this particular portion. All right, here we come. The detached Buddha tactic. Now, this is coming from the first section, how to wage war, right? Let's see. A little lost here. There we go. Detached Buddha tactic. Now, and for those of you who are new here, this book is written in such a way that the author takes examples from history and he breaks them down so that you can get an understanding as to how the principles work based on an actual event. So what I'm doing is I'm taking those for instances and trying to make them relevant to today's events. Because many of us who are striving to be righteous, I'm trying to get away from using certain religious terms. Those of us who are striving to be righteous understand that there's nothing new under the sun. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form. So here we are at the detached Buddha tactic. Watching the movie director Alfred Hitchcock at work on a film set was quite a surprise to those who are seeing it for the first time. Most filmmakers are wound up balls of energy, yelling at the crew and barking out orders, but Hitchcock would sit in a chair, sometimes dozing at times, at least with his eyes half closed. On the set of Strangers on a Train, made in 1951, the actor Farley Granger thought Hitchcock's behavior meant he was angry or upset and asked him if anything was wrong. Oh, Hitchcock replied sleepily, I'm so bored. The crew's complaints and actors' tantrums, nothing fazed him. He would just yawn, shift in his chair, and ignore the problem. Hitchcock didn't seem to direct us at all, said the actress Margaret Lockwood. He was dozing, nodding Buddha with an enigmatic smile on his face. It was hard for Hitchcock's colleagues to understand how a man doing such a stressful work could stay so calm and detached. Some thought it was part of his character, that there was something inherently cold blooded about it. Others thought it to be a gimmick, put on. Few suspected the truth. Before filmmaking had even begun, Hitchcock would have prepared for it with such intense attention to detail that nothing could go wrong. He was completely in control. No temperamental actress, no panicky art director, no meddling producer could upset him or interfere with his plans. Feeling such absolute security in what he had set up, he could afford to lie back and fall asleep. Hitchcock's process began with a storyline, whether from a novel or an idea of his own. As if he had made a movie projector in his head, he would begin to visualize the film. Next, he would start meeting with the writer, who would soon realize that his job was unlike any other. Instead of taking some producer's half-baked idea and turning it into a screenplay, the writer was simply there to put it on paper, and the dream trapped in Hitchcock's mind. He or she would add flesh and bones to the characters and would, of course, write the dialogue, but not much else. Meeting on the movie Vertigo, his descriptions of several scenes were so vivid, so intense, that the experiences seemed almost to have been real, or maybe something he had dreamed. This completeness of vision foreclosed creative conflict. As Taylor soon realized, although he was writing the script, he would remain a Hitchcock creation. Once the screenplay was finished, Hitchcock would transform it into an elaborate shooting script. Blocking, camera positions, lighting, and set dimensions were spelled out in detailed notes. Most directors leave themselves some latitude, shooting scenes from several angles. For example, to give the film editor options to work with later on. Not Hitchcock. He essentially edited the entire film in the shooting script. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he wrote it down. If a producer or actor tried to add or change a scene, Hitchcock was outwardly pleasant, but he could afford to pretend to listen, but inside he was totally unmoved. Nothing was left to chance. The building of the sets, quite elaborate in the movie like Rear Window, Hitchcock would present the production designer with precise blueprints, floor plans, an incredibly detailed list of props. He supervised every aspect of set construction. He was particularly attentive to the clothes of his leading actresses. According to Edith Head, the costumer on many Hitchcock movies included Dial M for Murder in 1954. There was a reason for every color, every style, and he was absolutely certain about everything he settled on. For one scene, he saw Grace Kelly in pale green, for another in white chiffon, and another in gold. He was really putting a dream together in the studio. When the actress Kim Novak refused to wear a gray suit in Vertigo because she felt it made her look washed out, Hitchcock told her he wanted her to look like a woman of mystery who had just stepped out of the San Francisco fog. How could she argue with that? She wore the suit. Hitchcock's actors found working with him strange yet pleasant. Some of Hollywood's best, Joseph Cotton, Grace Kelly, Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman, said that he was the easiest director to work for. His nonchalance was catching. And since his films were so carefully staged as to not to depend on the actor's performance in any particular scene, they could relax. Everything went like clockwork. As James Stewart told the cast of The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1956, we're in the hands of an expert here. You can lean on him. Just do everything he tells you and the whole thing will be okay. As Hitchcock sat calmly on the set, apparently half asleep, the cast and the crew could only see a small part each one played. They had no idea how everything fit into his vision. When Taylor saw Vertigo for the first time, it was like seeing another man's dream. The film neatly duplicated the vision Hitchcock expressed to him so many months before. Now, and that's a pretty lengthy reading, but I want you to grab onto something as you see uh, through the flow and through the story how planning, and that's what I've been talking about since we started this project. Planning, planning. What are you going to do one step to the next? Okay, and how to communicate that plan to the players, to the performers. So here's the interpretation. The first film Hitchcock directed was Pleasure Garden, a silent he made in 1925. The production went wrong in every conceivable way. Hitchcock hated chaos and disorder, unexpected events, panicky crew members, and any loss of control made him miserable. From that point on, he decided he would treat filmmaking like a military operation. He would give his producers, actors, and crew no room to mess up what he wanted to create. He taught himself every aspect of film creation, set design, lighting, and technicalities of cameras, and lenses, editing, sound. He ran every stage of the film's making. No shadow would fall between the planning and the execution. Establishing control in advance, the way Hitchcock did, might seem like presence of mind, but actually it takes that quality to its zenith. It means entering into battle, in Hitchcock's case, film shoot, feeling calm and ready. Setbacks may come, but you have foreseen them and thought of alternatives, and you are ready to respond. Your mind can never go blank when it is so well prepared. When your colleagues barrage you with doubts, anxious questions, and slipshod ideas, you may nod and pretend to listen, but you're really ignoring them. You're out, you're out thought. You've outthought them in advance, and your relaxed manner will prove contagious to other people, making them easier to manage in return. It, it is easy to be overwhelmed by everything that faces you in battle, where many people, where so many people are asking or telling you what to do. So many vital matters press in on you that you can lose sight of your goals and plans. Suddenly, you can't see the forest for the trees. Understand, presence of mind is the ability to detach yourself from all that, to see the whole battlefield, the whole picture with clarity. All generals have this quality. And what gives you that mental balance is preparation, mastering the details beforehand. Let people think your Buddha like detachment comes from some mysterious force. The less they understand you, the less they understand you, the better. Now, this is unusual. This is not unusual, but I will say this. I will say this. We've all been told at some point in our lives, watch out for the silent types. And it's weird how if you're a talker like me, and people know you're a talker, and you bust on the scene and you're not saying anything, it's amazing how nervous people get. It's amazing how nervous people get when they can't pick your mind, when they can't gain the advantage over you, when they can't figure out exactly what's going on with you. It's amazing. And the one thing that has always struck me as odd is that throughout my whole life, that has always been the best strategy. I used to before I decided to walk in the light. I used to play in the dark. And one of my favorite tactics, favorite skill sets was being quiet. I could be the one that was hanging out. I wasn't the life of the party. I was the one that in the background, operating the controls, so to speak. I was the one. I was the one that, when in the presence of the guys I was out with, they would say, "What's up with him?" And they would give this glowing endorsement. but I was respectable. I had many opportunities to sow my oats, but I was very particular, and it was for that reason. I know many of you out there are in situations or relationships. Guys, you have to be this kind of man. When you become this kind of man, life can be easy for you. And you'll attract the kind of woman that will meld right into it. Many of us have made the mistake of going to the dating site. And let me tell you this, no algorithm can determine whether you're going to have a good relationship or not. It's a fallacy. It is no different than a prearranged marriage. And of course, that's rejected because once you show up, you realize I'm different than this person, that person. There are no rules as to how the woman is supposed to act in respect to the man. And the only rule the man had was take care of the family. You all be careful when people telling you that they can arrange something for you. Because what the algorithm doesn't give an account of is COVID-19. It doesn't give an account of the 10-car pileup. It doesn't give an account of the surly supervisor who is riding you like a gelding and living out your mouth like a dentist. Doesn't take into account the fact that you done been crapped on for the years prior to you taking the filling out your program. It doesn't take into account that you ain't gonna tell them everything. And it's the things you don't tell them that end up the destroyer of the relationship. So you have all of this thing going on. And the one thing that keeps a lot of people together is they say, well, the program said we're compatible. Okay. Love will keep us together. If that's what you need, you go ahead and have at it. But some of us learn to face realities. And one of those realities is this, is that people have their things going on. And the only thing that the test can work with is that you're willing to tell them. There are a lot of people who have been abused in their youth. Think they're going to tell you that? Oh, well, have you ever been abused in a relationship? You'll never see that on a dating site. Never see that on a relationship test. Never. So, were you ever physically abused by your parents? They'll never ask you that. You know, they ask you flowery things. Oh, well, do you prefer sky blue or powder blue? What type of foods do you like? Do you like German food? Do you like African food? Do you like Spanish food? Italian food? See, they ask you all of these external questions. If it were to ask some of these internal questions, I could say this gladly, a whole lot of women would not get a relation, not find a man. How about asking some of these questions? Are you a control freak? Do you feel like you have to have your way all the time? Are you talkative to the point when you get angry? When you get angry, are you likely to blow a gasket, get extremely angry, start getting violent? See, if you ask those kinds of questions on a dating exam, then nobody would bother with you. But it's all based on the deception. I just need to get you in, okay? And shame on some of these psychologists. Shame on some of them. I had the fortunate opportunity to counsel a couple that was getting ready to get married, and they were having some challenges at best. And as is my policy, the initial meeting between the two is basically, what are your goals? What do you want to do? This, that, and the other. Then I pull them off by themselves. And I start asking the man what his goals are. And you know, I get basically the same answer. I want to own a house. I just want to have a good job so I can take care of my family. You know, want to be in decent shape. Yeah, I'm going to school so I can get a degree so I can earn the income. You ask the women, and the answers are so vague, it's ridiculous. It's almost like women have no plan. I know that got to be not true. Or maybe when they start talking about, oh, yeah, well, I want to get a master's degree in this, and I want to do that, I want to do that. Okay, so then I start, well, did your mother and father stay together your whole young life? Yeah, but I noticed that, mom never had anything. So being part of a marriage household makes a difference. Very little. It's how those two, how it's what that person has seen the two people they value most operating as. So getting back to this here, for a man to be able to weather the storm, at some point he's going to have to keep his overt emotions in check. There's times when you want to blow up, sure. It's natural and normal. Don't let nobody kid you. However, as part of the strategy, you need to keep it quiet, because with every action you give something away. If I raise my hand up to do this right here, you're looking at the screen. Well, this face itches a lot. Excuse me. Oh man, that's all you can deduce. But if I keep on, you'll start to grab onto details. There must be something wrong with that side of his face. Then I keep doing it. You're gonna formulate in your head, or you'll watch the next one looking for that trait. Oh yeah, right now he's gonna scratch that. There it is, right there. But there it is, right there. Go scratch that. Oh, go scratch that. See, you learn to be programmed. So what we want to do is, as those in authority, and this is females too, give people the opportunity to calm down around you. The only way you can do that is have your stuff together. Nail it down tight. Okay. If you need to express by all means. Just be mindful that your expression is an action. And with every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Now, you might not on your scale think that it's equal, but let me tell you what that person who is the first receiver is thinking. See? If I yell at you and my first impression, my first expression towards you is me raising my voice, there's one or two responses that can be had. Either you let it go, or you come at, or you clap back, and it's louder. And after a couple of times, guess what? Now you become the screamer. They already know. I don't look at, if I don't feel like arguing today, let me stay away from that person. In fact, we govern our lives by that. So here's this guy they're telling the story about. A man who was so resolute, it appeared on the outside. But it's because he made all the preparations. He knew everything was perfect. So all it was for them was going through the movements. Going through the movement. And as they went through the movements, guess what? The man has had award after award for his movies. But you got to have that kind of discipline. And that's where we are. Do we have the kind of discipline necessary to create a plan and create it so with such detail, and to be able to be within the plan, and cognizant of the fact that some things are going to go wrong, something, We got to pick the right players. We got to do the timing got to be right. Do we have enough discipline to make that a reality? Let's look at our communities. Okay. It never fails. Dark Americans run away from the inner city when they get an opportunity to buy a house somewhere and to have a better job. They run. They run, leaving it in a shambles. Now, I don't know about that, but I don't know what that means to some people. But I look around the world and I see that these people from foreign countries, they still have the IDs from the place they came from. In fact, our dear neighbors, the Mexicans, they don't even get driver's licenses in this country. What they do is they use their passports. In other words, they're never going to detach themselves from home. If things get too rough up here, and I've heard some of them say it. I mean, hey, I know that it's poor down there. I know that there's very little money to be made down there, but I tell you what, if it hits the fan up here, I just take me passport. I go on back home. Little guy literally said that to me. He said, I ain't go home. So where you going? So there's that. You all take this reading to heart. Remember, go to PDF Drive and download it. I'm sure that if you read along, take it, even though we read it here, take some time, spend some time with yourself. If I might quote, what's his name, Cat Williams, he said, you got to make sure your star player is being treated like a star player, because you never know when it might be over. It's always, it's always a blessing to be able to enjoy some stuff. Always a blessing to be able to enjoy some stuff. These meetings are always pleasant. Remember, folks, I appreciate your assistance, your help in keeping this thing alive. $2, $3 here, $5 there. Let's build this up, because we got some other projects we need to be about. As you see in the caption.